$800. One rice miller have increased it since last Friday or last Saturday to $4,000. I believe Mr. Hackey is here. I want to compliment him. And another rice miller today have increased it also to $4,000, CARICOM rice mill. So we are working, and as a matter of fact, we know for a fact that we don't have control directly over the price because it's a private arrangement with the farmers. We are trying to make the input cost more easily accessible to you, reduce DNI charges, take out VAT on agriculture machinery, agriculture inputs, pesticides, chemicals, so that you can save more money, and those money will remain in the pockets of the farmers. Those are the things that the government is intervening in. Also, we are looking to find more market, more lucrative market for your rice. As a matter of fact, GRDB has informed me that they have 2 new markets coming on stream for this crop, and we will be able to sell our rice at a higher cost to these markets. So all in all, we are working to ensure that we make this sector an attractive sector, a sector that can move forward. And as a government, we take our responsibility very seriously. That's the philosophy of this PDP government. We don't come here and say that rice growing or rice activities are private business. We come here and address the concern. When you have issue, the president and vice president say, go to the SQ or meet the farmers. Don't send proxy. You go as the minister, talk to the farmers, find out the issue and see how we will resolve it. That's the way we deal with issue. We confront it and we try to resolve it. We don't hide from issue and we don't hide from the reality. And these are the things we have been doing over the last 2 years and we have been doing since we were in government from 1992. That is why we have seen the revival of the rice industry. And when you look from 2015 to 2020, we have seen a steep decline in expenditure in this sector, especially on the coast. The last time we had the big meeting at the RPA band, the vice president pointed it out to you to show you how expenditure was and budgetary allocation were decreased during the APNU AFC government. Today I am proud to say, only 2 years we are now we have been able to expend over $3 billion to do infrastructural work. We are looking to do new farm to market road. We are looking to open up new lands. And already over the last 2 years, the commitment and promises that we have made in our manifesto when we went to the election, we have almost completed all. And we are looking to do new things to bring more benefit to you, the farmers. You rest assured that our government will never let you down. We will always be with you, the people and the farmers, to ensure we take your interests. So comrades, I know you have been waiting to listen to the Vice President. I want to, with your permission, introduce to the microphone the Vice President of our country, the General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, a man who has committed himself to bring relief to the people of our country.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So it's good to see you again and be on the coast once more. Today we came with a specific purpose, that is to meet with the fishermen. Often we don't meet with the fishermen, and they believe that the PVP only deals with rice on the Essequibo coast, because every time we come here, we meet with the rice farmers all the time. Their concern was, and they expressed this vocally, there are other people who live on this coast and who work here and have a living here too. So you all, every time you come here, it's the rice farmers you meet. And this is not totally untrue, because that's a fact. Every time we come here, when the president comes here, I've come here several times, and it's always meeting with the rice farmers to try to solve some issue in a never-ending stream of concerns. So I've heard from time to time individuals who will go and make a public post, and it seems as though about the PPP's commitment. And if it seems as though these people, either they don't have a clue about what's going on, or they're doing this conveniently. So just now when Zulfi pointed out about our commitment to the industry and what happened in the APNU period, I saw two persons saying, no, that didn't happen. And if they only were to go into the parliament and take the estimates of expenditure made in the period from 2015 to 2022, and for themselves go through the capital budget for the country, then they will see exactly what we're saying, which is one, that in the period between 2015 to 2020, every single year, the previous government spent less on capital expenditure in Guyana than in 2014. And when they go particularly to two heads, farm to market roads and drainage and irrigation, they will see how much was cut from those budgets from 2014. They practically cut the farm to market roads down to a small sum, hundreds of millions of dollars, when it was in the billions of dollars in 2014, and the same thing for D&I. So although in the period you may have gotten a particular price, the lifeblood of this industry is infrastructure too. It's not just price, it is not just market. It is about the infrastructure to support the industry. And if you run it down every single year, you don't see it until it builds up. And in the 5 years, it was consistently being run down. We came into office, we immediately increased those budgets, the farm to market roads and the D&I budget, by billions of dollars. You don't have to listen to us. Go and study for yourselves. But the people who make these snide comments want, and there are very few of them, they'll never take the time to do that. They'll go in the corner shop and gab. They'll gab. But if they check that, they will see how we've started rebuilding the infrastructure that is necessary. Because if you don't have farm to market roads and you don't have irrigation water, then you might as well shut down the industry, regardless of what price you get in the future. So that's the first thing. That shows a commitment. Secondly, the access that you've had, that other people complain about, many of you would have never had that access. You wouldn't even get a chance to speak. Granger invited a few people up, selected group, to the convention center, and that's where he told them, this is not government business. You're in a private industry. You tell me how many times, that's why we get accused of coming to meet only rice farmers. How many times in the 5 years they've had one single engagement like this from Nagamotu or Granger or any of the others? They never have it, their access. You didn't even have a voice to raise these concerns, whatever they are. And so, that's another thing, access. The third thing is policy. Look at the policy. If you were buying a tractor or a combine under the APNU period, a combine, you had to pay $5 million more in taxes than you're paying now because we removed the VAT back from machinery and equipment. We removed the VAT from fertilizer, although the price of fertilizer is escalated globally because the price of fuel went from $25 a barrel to nearly $120 a barrel. Now it fell back to about $100 a barrel. We import the fuel. We removed the 50% tax on gasoline and diesel, or else the price would have even been higher. And even when we removed the tax, the price still went up because that's the global condition. You import your oil from abroad. The fertilizer price went up because it's made from crude, the oil. But we removed the 14% VAT on the fertilizer. And then we said, all right, we know that happened, so what can we do to help? We set up this committee, we gave some free fertilizer to people to cushion it. You would have never ever gotten even a hearing, much less to get a policy in the past. Not even a hearing, much less a policy. And so that happened. And so when I hear these griping and stuff like that, and I must confess it's a few people, we face difficult times. Just come out of COVID, cost of living has increased. We had a major hit on cost of living because the factories around the world were shut down that we import from. The people banned the export of oil from some countries, cooking oil, that we are importing. The price tripled globally. Not just in Guyana. The war in Ukraine pushed fuel prices up, and we kept electricity and water price at the same level, although the price of oil increased by 4 times, period. Because we're subsidizing that. We kept it the same old rate as in the past. Because we did not want it to pass through on the cost of living side. So, when we hear about market conditions, we don't control the price that people pay, but you can rest assured that every time we talk to the people. Last week we spoke with Mr. Hack and everyone else, but we have to try as much as possible to open up new markets. The new government lost the Venezuelan market as soon as they got into office, that we had opened up. They lost the market. A lot of people got their rights, they stuck here, etc., no payment. So we're now opening up new markets, and we're constantly trying to see what we can do to help, because the industry is important for us, constantly, every single day. So when I listen to their few negatives, and often but they're very few, I must confess, because most of the comrades in here recognize that without a PPP government there, this industry ultimately would run down. You'd survive for 5-10 years, and like what happened in my village. My village was a farming village. And when PNC was in office, when the PNC was in office, so the first few years we were farmers, and then they stopped fixing the canals. And the trees started growing out of the canals. Jamun tree took over the canals. And so the entire village practically had to shift into fishing, because they couldn't get irrigation water coming down from just a little stretch, the Shanks Canal. Because that is how they believe in agriculture. And you saw the signs of it happening again. So while they were saying, oh, we love the industry and everything else, the speeches, the policy was very different. You look at our speeches and our policy. You check the policy supporting the speeches, and then you will see that we mean business. And so too, not just in this sector, but in the entire country. It's not an easy period coming out for a government that had to fight off an attempt to steal the elections. Coming the first day in office to a country that's shut down because of COVID, with no plan to address COVID. Not ran up a debt of $100 billion at the central bank. No plans for the future, not on infrastructure. And with people losing jobs in droves, and coming in and trying to address all of this at once, and we have been able to keep our commitment. We came here a few months ago, and in this region, because we recognize people don't have jobs, this region got 2,000 persons who were employed through a part-time scheme. You know how many in this room? Probably about less than 500. 4 times the number of people in this room, more than 4 times, a few months ago got a job from this government, who are now working in 2020 when we got back in office, are now working. That's $80 million more per month in the economy of this region. That's nearly $1 billion a year more that flows through the economy of this region. And that's only one initiative. Every school child in this region now receives $30,000 they got, and their parents got that they didn't have in 2020 when we got back into office. And totally, the 200,000 kids around the country got over $6 billion there, and their parents that they didn't get when APNU was there. $6 billion more in their pockets. The pensioners got a 40% increase, but that's $8,000 more only. But that cost the Treasury nearly $8 billion more. And we said we'll double OJ's pension by the time we're done. So, I'm just telling you those a few initiatives to try to change things here. We're now awarding over 100 roads, maybe 170 or so. 126 roads this year. Community roads to start fixing in this region. Community roads. It would spend several billions of dollars just on community roads in this region. What we do this year alone, the program we're doing, APNU on community roads didn't do in 5 years. Now we've just gone out to tender for now all of these roads, the community roads. We're building the hospital. We had identified a spot just close by here to build the hospital. I think it was here. But we're now moving it. We managed to get a piece of land on the main road because it's congested, the access to come in here. And we're building that hospital. We awarded the contract already to start next year that will take healthcare to a different level in this region, where you can have a CT scan done just here, major operating theaters, everything else. Massive, and that's being done not just here. We did 6 of those across the country and made a children's hospital. And that's in 2 years to put that together. So that alone is over $6 billion. It cost the government about $30 million US to put in that hospital. So we can, people sometimes don't even look around them. If you don't tackle something in their yards alone, or they're in front of their yard, they don't see the changes and the commitment at the regional level. And I thought many of you here would understand that. Sometimes we need this frank talking because every day we're busy 24 hours a day working to change this country. It's not an easy task. We have a useless opposition that is negative about everything, totally racist. Everything is a race-related, totally. And they've always been this way, and negative. And you have to fight that off, you have to fight the naysayers off, and still remain focused. And you have an industry of rumors and social media thing. If you listen to them, you think we have tens of billions of dollars of oil and gas money flowing through the economy already. It's not true. Look at the reality. So a lot of people here got to have that broader perspective. And I said to the farmers, we have on the training side, we have several hundred, maybe 500-600 people on scholarship in this region since we came back. I came here the last time, I said, anyone who wants to study in the region will now, the government will pay for their scholarship, pay for the remedial program. We're shifting out the programs here. We're looking to make sure that we have broadband Wi-Fi in this region. Already someone put in a fiber optic cable. We want to make sure that the government can supply broadband Wi-Fi to the poorest in the region. We're co-investing with some people to put up some call centers that we can generate more jobs in the region. Alright, so all of these things have been done. And we have to do this for the entire country. Because the country was neglected. So it's 24 hours a day in the last 2 years, dealing with COVID and addressing all these things. So we were acutely aware of the difficulties with the rice farmers. I came here, we sat down here, you all told me about the cost of the cost of inputs, how they had escalated. We recognized that the last time. We said, how can we assist here? Then we decided on the fertilizer. You don't have to tell me 100 times, I know about this. That we have had an increase in the cost of production because of what has happened there. And it makes it harder. Many people have loans at the bank and stuff like that. We have issues where people not being paid. It's not like we are living on the moon or we up knew that they don't be concerned about it. Yeah, just leave it. Yes. So it's not like we live on the moon. I sat here, I spent maybe the last time I came here and we talked about rice about 3 hours listening to people. About everything you can raise, anything you can raise here today. I've heard it said before and we've taken into consideration. That is why. So I know about the price issue. I know about it too, that's why we're struggling. In the other regions, people are getting more. We're even talking about how can we, that's what we're thinking about, can we help with the transportation so we can get a higher cost, price to the farmers here if we help with transportation, because we don't buy the rice, so we can't do much about that. But this is what we're here to talk about today. So when I heard Sophia was mentioning some issues, I said, since I'm here, I want to talk to you again. Because no use you tell us about that all the time, unless we try to find ways of making the rice in this region either more competitive, so that the markets are more competitive, or we remove some of the additional costs that the buyers have to face in this region. We help to subsidize those costs so they can get a higher price to the farmers and then pay them on time. That is what we have to discuss. That's the way we have to move forward, trying to solve a problem, not complain about it all the time. If we complain about this from 1992, this country would have been changed. Complain about everything. You got to fix things. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Ideas about how to fix things, given the reality of this. We'll talk about other things. I came here to listen today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, VP. So what we'll do now, open the floor to raise some concern or issues. So who will be the first person? Raise, the mic will be coming around. Yeah, you got one over there.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Welcome, VP.
Right, thanks.
You can stay there now. VP, is there something technical? We more goes to our chairman and Mr. So, right down here on the road. After we give all the contract to the lineman to do some work here, then we give contract at Amrita to close that road. This road becomes the road to transport all those people.
So then what? I don't understand. So go back again.
Yeah. The contract that you have with that multi-arms, TI area, that road closed. Then the road go on.
Oh, why? To construct. It closed to construct. Okay, all right.
So everything that I got on this road.
This road at the back here.
Little road. If the water not receiving get horrible condition, the vehicle have the bus and car and so getting a rough time to pass.
Okay.
And I thought.
How long this contract will take when they complete?
I don't know to say that.
Who knows about this? You know? Come. Let's hear it. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the contract period is approximately 6 months, right? And the traffic has been diverted to the same Bushlot access road. The contractor for that road is aware that he has to maintain the same access because all the material goes through the same Bushlot road. So we also are working along with MDIA, they have the grader, and we did maintenance already on it, and we will continue doing maintenance.
All right, hold on a minute. So the other road is 6 months. This contract has been given for that road on which it's diverted. Nothing here. Huh? He has to fix that, the bypass, and that's part of his contract. No, is there a sum? Is there a sum? So if it's not a sum, he's just assisting. If it's an obligation, he has to do it. If there's he's assisting, that's a different matter. So we must maintain it until this one is done, and then we can fix that one too. Ultimately, all the roads in this region will be fixed. That's our commitment. And we've done something, let me tell you, what we've done in Berbice. Because Berbice, another stronghold of the PP, was totally neglected. So 4 months, 5 months ago, we went there. Nothing had been done there for years. So we decided we had to do a large number of roads. Remember, Berbice is very big, right? Very big population and everything. We realized that if we go with asphalt, so we don't want to go to chip seal roads anymore. We're doing asphalt roads or concrete roads because the chip seal get damaged later, right? It don't last as long. Here and there, Secure Coast, they have lasted a bit more because you have a higher water table and more sandy areas I've seen in some areas. But on the other areas, in the other regions where the water table is high, quickly they disappear. So we made that determination. But not many people can do asphalt work because you have to get equipment, proper equipment to lay the asphalt, proper quality asphalt, and you can't work when it's raining, lay the asphalt. So it slows down everything. If we wait to do asphalt roads, the 5-year would be completed and we wouldn't have, although we have the money to do it, we wouldn't do 20% of what we wanted. So that's why we changed to concrete roads in this region. Now the good thing about concrete roads is that anybody can practically do that. And that's why we need more contractors now. All the contractors are overloaded. So much work is taking place in the country. So in this region, we have to make a determination. Because concrete roads, you just have to do the base, but then probably a base material. The filter fabric, not the filter fabric, the VRC fabric, and later the concrete and with proper supervision. And they last long. We should look at this region too. All concrete in this region. And so that is why I think we've decided we're only going to use contractors from this region now. So everybody will get a job here. From the region, we get more contractors. So these roads, we're doing concrete roads because we can do much more faster and they're also weather dependent. So ultimately, all the roads will be done. We recognize that this region here, if we do some, we can continue next year's budget and all will be done. So your bypass too will be fixed. Once the main road is fixed, don't worry too much. Ultimately, they will have to fix that one too. Right? But should maintain it now. The guy said they should maintain it now whilst it's used as a bypass. Okay? It's a big stretch? Half a mile, okay. Yes, you all should make sure.
Right down here on the side of you have a big fence there. And over the side of a big fence. This road, I know that heavy duty, big party, and I have anything.
But that's the same road?
Yeah, but the fence over this side is not serving any purpose. They're about 50 feet there.
Oh, really?
Right, and that is wasting time there.
No, but we should do an assessment because this is happening. If it's not serving a purpose of drainage or irrigation, and it would allow us to expand the road or something like that, we have taken in those, but it must be assessed properly. You gotta check it carefully, not when you fill up the trench, later people get flooding and then they say, you know. All right, we'll look into that. Let's move on to some other things. Yes. All right, thanks. All right.
Welcome you, Bibi, as good afternoon, everyone. Bibi, I know that we have a new grader. I happen to be the first person to use that grader, but we don't have a good operator. He's very much inexperienced.
You're the first person to use the grader?
Yes, we do.
How do you get it?
Because my dam was already prepared, which I did by myself, so only a grading I didn't want.
Oh.
So which means I didn't wait for the region to do that thing for me. But
It's not regional grader?
it's a regional grader.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, this man could afford to grade your own place. How come you're grading his place here? Tell me. This man could afford to do it.
But the operator is not experienced
Okay.
enough. And which I called the chairman of NDIA, and the reply to me is a tier 2 operator, tier 1 operator, good operator. He's a good operator to operate other machinery. But he's very inexperienced with the grade.
No, but that's good that you brought this to our attention. We have to make sure. These are expensive pieces of equipment. We've ordered a lot more equipment, but because of the COVID and the factory shut, we can't get them in time. We've ordered several tractors from India and stuff like that. We're waiting a long time because we want to give each NDC a tractor and trailer to pick up garbage and everything else. And those are coming on stream. So whatever we have to use properly. And so the point you are making that a grader is an expensive piece of equipment. We need to get a proper operator to run this and to make sure that we use it on the roads and stuff, not in this land here, private land here.
All the rice land in this has given their all project land.
They need to grade the rice land.
No, not the rice land, the dams.
The dams. I thought it was private land.
No.
Okay.
Maybe on the other hand, I know that the PPP government is very, very optimistic about agriculture because I can tell you, thanks to the government for the fertilizer, because I see they give from the small farmers to the big ones, and I know that they're basically interested in agriculture and not tricking the people, which I know for a fact. So, thanks
You know for a fact, right?
I know for a fact. And on the other hand, I see that I'm a farmer too, and I'm one of the big farmers in the coconut industry, in the rice industry, in the mining sector, construction, fishing industry. I work in every sector. And what I think with rice farmers, Essequibo basically, they are mostly small farmers across Essequibo. So farmers need an additional business to earn some cash. So what I was doing some calculation, and which I have done for myself. I plant 300 acres of rice at LOP. And what I did for the last 15 years, I put $1 per acre into a special account. And I was there 15 years now. And for 15 years, that account has enough money that can be able to buy back every bag of paddy that I produce on any given crop at 30 bags an acre. What we need for rice farmers in this country, we are planting 220,000 acres across the land. 220,000 acres. We need a farmer's bank, or we need the government to facilitate the process of having the bank. We need the government to get the building, the license, and whatever other documentation. And if every farmer across this country buy one single share at $4,000 for every acre by land, the bank would have 220,000 shares every 6 months. That would give you $880 million worth in shares in that bank. In 15 years, we will have $26.4 billion, where the bank will be 100% owned by farmers, that bank will have enough money to buy every bag of paddy cash. That's not the catch. If the millers and the farmers, they are the one that every sales of rice that passes through that bank, we sell $200 million worth of rice per year. If we have a spread of $4 on every $4 on every US dollar, the bank alone would make $800 million profit. If you multiply that by 15 years,
well, I understand.
you would have $12 million. We can now use that money.
Yes. No, I agree.
Crop insurance
I'm not.
and so many others.
I'm not disputing the numbers. The numbers, we can put things down on paper. They look great. It's when you actually come to implementing things. So, first of all, you have to get a commitment from every farmer in this country now.
Yes.
That they will every time, every crop, make that for every bag, every acre they plant, they will for 15 years have to make that contribution without like 1 bag per acre, without any return at that point in time.
Yes.
So that is the first hurdle we have to cross. Then the second hurdle is about the safety of the money. So when you lend people, what about when people don't repay? Because the default rate has been extremely high, right? The default. Then on the spread, you're talking about the farmers want to share the upside of the spread. Any price increase, they want to share it immediately now. They don't want to take money from the spread, right? The price, and allocate it towards that purpose, the banking purpose, the profits there. So there are lots of issues that this sounds well, and we can support a private initiative if they want to go with that. But I know how it works because I've seen how the Guy Bank was bankrupt. Guy Bank, when we just came into office in 1992, we had 7 state institutions that were owned by the government or partly owned. Mortgage Finance Bank, GNCB, you had, all of them fell under the COFA group. There. And so, all bankrupt. And why did they become bankrupt? Is that when your government institutions, at Guy Bank, 13 persons got most of the loans. They were part of the committee for re-electing President Hoy, the CRIP at that time. They got a loan, they got all of the money. They didn't pay back. The bank was stuttering on bankruptcy. GNCB, a few people got the money here, closely aligned to the government, and they all practically collapsed. We had to restructure without any recourse to the treasury. You know why Jamaica has had 0 growth practically in about 20 years? Because Jamaica had a similar situation. They were liberal with banking licenses. And then the debt situation, they had these failures, bank failures. And they took over $3 billion of debt that choked off economic growth for almost 2 decades. So these things, because I've gone through it, I've seen these numbers and these institutions for 20-something years we've been at this. You have to be almost cautious about how you approach it. Now, we made it clear that at some point in time,
we have to return to a development bank. So that's what we're talking about, a development bank. In our manifesto, we said we will explore a price guarantee scheme, so an insurance scheme like what you were saying, but it has to be a contributor scheme, so that the same point you are making. So if you look at the 2020 manifesto, you see we will say we were going to explore that. So the idea is still a good idea, but it requires the people in this room to make it work. It requires the people in this room, not the government. The government will support it 100%. But we have to now convince people here. We can only explore it. And even if they want to do it, if people want to do it, we will make a cash injection too. A big cash injection to bolster the capital of the bank. We'll make a big cash injection. But if we got a group of people who are willing to work on this, we're prepared to work on this with them. But it's got to be done as an initiative coming from the farmers themselves with the support of the government, and we will support it. Anything that helps to stabilize the flow, the price movements up and down. So when the prices are high, you contribute more to the fund, and when the prices dip, you get like a compensatory payment to keep that there.
I agree with you.
All right, okay.
One other thing is that I'm a miller too, and I'm a farmer. And I notice farmers always complain about prices. I know the government cannot do anything because it's left basically to the people who mill the paddy and sell the rice. And it's very difficult to listen, they talk, say bad things about the government. But they have to realize that prices are based on demand and supply. So one of the things I would like to see in this region here, especially since they're plenty small farmers, is that if we have a drying facility that we can take a third out of the paddy, a third, which would be about 300,000 bags of paddy, and where the government now assists to make a drying system, not a milling system. So the 2/3 of paddy that would sell to the millers would create basically a demand for those paddies, so they would be able to pay better prices. Once you store a 1/3, and at the end of the crop, you now put it for bid, and if Battle wanted, if Hack wanted, if whoever wanted, so the farmers will be able to get some more money, instead of spending that money to make a drying floor and only dry a few bags of seed paddy. We need to look at it in a bigger way, and I think this would be able to solve the problem among farmers, solve the problem among the government and everybody, and this would be a beautiful industry. Rice is still one of the best agriculture crop in this country that I can tell you. After rice, maybe coconut. Thank you.
So it's a good idea too. What he's saying basically is that you take some of the supply out, because when you cut now, not all the millers would agree with this because they would want their rice now at this price. But you have to sell your paddy, you can't dry it, so within a specified period. But if you can get some taken out of the system for a while, then you don't have a large quantity of rice coming in or paddy in a short period, because the millers then have all the bargaining power on their side. And so it's a good idea, but again, the drying facility investment is not the biggest concern. We can probably put that up a bit higher. It's operating. We don't want government to operate these things. We know how when government operate these things, the favoritism, the corruption sometimes start creeping in. And then guess who gets blamed for it? The PPP will get blamed for it. Although we want to help, then somebody, get a friend party to come in or something like that, or put in poor quality paddy in the system, and then we will get blamed for everything. So we don't mind supporting, but this thing has to be privately driven, and the farmers themselves have to come together and get this done. Because I've seen how these things happen when the government manages it too. With all the best intention in the world, you put people to look after your interests, Next thing, they don't. And then the party gets the blame for it all. And I don't want that. So I don't want that to happen. General Secretary of the PPP, I've seen that happen so many times. Look at the flood relief. Nearly 75,000 people got some help from flood relief in the country. How would we know who's lying? We can't know if Fanali or Jagdeo or some cabinet member whether a man lost a crop or not. But they put down their names, and then the people in the community say, look what the government doing. They give a man who didn't lose anything some money. How would we get the blame for it? And the same thing I said to the fishermen here. Soon as I shake some of their hands, they never pull a piece of rope in their life.
I'm coming to you from the multilateral school. Alright, y'all alright?
Yes.
Cool. Hey. Alright. Yeah, you good? Alright. Cool, man. Yeah. Alright. Cool. Yeah, buddy. Good afternoon. Nana, me